Okay, this is number 33 from our review packet, Unit 5, Chapter 5. Now, we've been discussing this in class, and, what they're asking you here is also, the first thing you got to know is to find the derivative of the inverse of this. So, what I'm going to give you in class, what they're really asking you is, when does tan of x equal root 3 over 3? And not to go into the process here, which is just, it's not that bad. You should remember this one from last year. You could just arc tan both sides and then use the unit circle to figure it out. But what you'll realize here is that f of pi over 6 is equal to root 3 over 3. And I will give you this. This will be given. Okay, so if I give you that fact, now you know that f inverse of root 3 over 3 is equal to pi over 6. And that's the trick here. Okay, next thing is our formula. So we know, we know that when we take d dx of f inverse of x, we should call that a, it'd probably make our lives a lot easier, is equal to 1 over f prime of f inverse of x. And you have to know that well. So knowing that formula here, okay, you also have to know what the derivative of tangent is. So when they want me to take the derivative of the inverse function, the first thing I have to know is f prime. So f of x is equal to tan x. F prime of x, of course, because this is equal to secant squared x. And then with that, okay, you can now proceed. So d dx of f inverse of x, okay, is equal to 1 over f prime, that's secant squared. But instead of x, I'm going to put f inverse of x in there. So that's f inverse of x in there. Okay, so what they're asking us for here now is d dx of f inverse of root 3 over 3. So that's equal to 1 over secant squared of what? Well, I know this whole thing from before, let me help you out here, is equal to pi over 6. So I'm just going to put pi over 6 in here. And then from there you can kind of work it out. So what would that be? That'd really be what secant, so that's cosine of pi over 6 squared. Okay, I just moved that 2 outside. And I don't know, what's cosine of pi over 6? So cosine of pi over 6 is root 3 over 2, but I have to square that whole thing, so I get 3 over 4. Okay, so I know it's a little complicated, but you just got to know your formula and realize that I'll give you this fact so that when you try to evaluate this function on the inside, you can just grab that pi over 6 down there. That's the idea for those.